Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nikki LaRose. If you're new here, I'm a celebrity makeup artist based in Los Angeles, and in today's video, I thought it'd be so much fun to just create something different. I have a ton of new makeup products and fun colors and things that I haven't played with. Let's just get right into it and create something fun and beautiful. To start this look, since you guys have been enjoying me including my skincare and my skin prep, I'm gonna start with one of my favorites. This is the Naturium BHA Liquid Exfoliant. I've talked about this so many times, so I won't get too in-depth with the details of why I like it because I've shared it so many times, but basically it's one of my favorite ways to prep my skin before I do my skincare and then my makeup. So just using a cotton round. This is something that I always do. I never skip a toner. It doesn't have to be this one, but just toners in general, I never skip them. Okay, moving on to my serum. I'm just gonna use a small amount of the Peach and Lily Glass Skin Refining Serum. And get that all over. So I've been doing my brows a little bit different lately, and it's actually started to take me even longer to do my eyebrows, which is really fun. But I like the way I've been shaping them as of now. Like it's just a little different. Like I'm kind of just bringing them straight out as opposed to angled down at all. Let me know what you guys think of my brows if you like this new shape and the new way that I've been doing them. Okay, so my first serum is on. So now I'm gonna go straight into my moisturizer. And this one is from Freck Beauty. It's their Rich Cactus Plus Vitamin C Moisturizer. One of my friends, I got this actually just recently from the brand, which was so nice of them to give me a whole bunch of goodies. But one of my friends was like, oh my God, I use this every single day. I love the Rich cream. And I had never tried it, so I'm trying it for the first time right now. Like I said, I just have a ton of new products and goodies that I've been too busy to like really sit down and try out. So we're trying them together for the first time. But this feels really nice. It's like super creamy. Super emollient. Like my skin feels like very nice and very hydrated. Now we're gonna do eye makeup first because the palette that I wanna use is bright and super fun, and I don't wanna risk having a bright eyeshadow fallout on my face. So we're gonna do eyes first and then the rest of my foundation later. I'm gonna start with my concealer, and I'm gonna actually use this as my eyeshadow primer. This is my product, but I'm just gonna take some out on this palette and then use a small flat brush to apply it all over. Let's use this guy. This is a BK Beauty 206 brush. So this is actually the palette that I'm gonna use, but I'm also gonna use it as my mirror. This is a Huda Beauty Color Block palette. So I'm gonna take some of my Shape Tape. This is in the shade Light Medium. And I'm just going to completely knock out all the color that's on my lid naturally, because when you're using bright eyeshadows, which I'm about to do for this look, since I already have like so much pigmentation on my eyelid, if I were just put like, you know, the eyeshadow on top and without an eye base, it wouldn't be as like bright. So I just want to knock out all that color and start with a nice blank canvas. And since I'm using the Shape Tape from Tarte, like that is like the most full coverage concealer, like liquid concealer, so you really don't need much of this. Take a little bit more and just block out where my brow naturally wants to go down. Like I mentioned, like I've been doing my brows different, having them kind of go straight out, but with that, there's a little bit of like a color issue where I have like my brows naturally want to go down. There's some pigmentation and some hair in that spot, so I'm just kind of laying that concealer over that area as well, just to kind of block it out. That way I can fake it. Okay, so I'm gonna set this concealer. I'm gonna use a little bit of my Kosas Cloud Set in the color Feathery, and then using this Real Techniques brush. This is one of my all-time favorites. I love this brush. So I'm just gonna use that pressed powder to set my concealer, which will make this unofficial eye base. Because if I were to just leave it alone and not like set it, it would just be a mess. It would crease everything. So I'm just gonna lock it down with that powder. Okay, so our eye base is done. We're bright and we're ready to go into like the fun colors. So like I said, this is a Huda Beauty Color Block palette. So this is the blue and green Color Block Obsessions palette. I'm gonna start with using a Sephora brush. This is the 27 brush from Sephora. It's like a small blending brush. And I'm gonna go, it took me a minute to debate on which color to use because I think they're all really beautiful and really fun, but I'm gonna go with this, I don't even know how you would describe it. It's just green. Hulk. My husband says this is a Hulk green. I want to use this Hulk green color. To me, like, okay, the only thing I can think of when I'm trying to describe this green is it looks like almost like a vintage, like a 60s kind of green. Like this is like the kind of green that I feel like you'd see in the 60s. So I'm gonna start by patting this color on my lid. When you're doing like vivid shades and you want them to be pigmented and not too like blown out, initially when I'm applying this color, I want it to be like very pigmented. I want to see like the true color. So by tapping it on, like pressing it onto my eyelid rather than just going in and going like buffing back and forth and creating a whole mess, this will give me the most pigment payoff by pressing it down. And I'm just gonna take whatever's left over on my brush, just start to blend it into the crease. This is a really pretty palette and I've already created one look with it on my Instagram where I did like a really fun, was it blue or green? Where I did like a really fun blue liner, but I didn't touch this color yet. So I'm gonna start to feather it just lightly on the rest of my eyelid. So I'm gonna start to pull the shape of this eye look out and kind of like elongate my eyes, which you know I love to do. Slowly blending it outward towards my temple. Basically to kind of follow along where like the shape of my brow. I'm gonna switch over to a clean 26 brush from Sephora and just go over the edges and diffuse that look. I'm gonna kind of blow it out a little bit. So pretty. This is such a pretty color. Moving on to this eye. Same technique. I'm gonna start by pressing that shadow onto my eyelid. Switch back over to my 26 brush just to blend this out and like soften the edges. Okay, I'm gonna take a little more of that same color and just tuck even more in this outer corner of my eye. I just want really rich color payoff in this outer corner because I want ideally to be like a gradient where it's like it's slightly lighter in the inner corner and it starts to get deeper as you go towards the outer end of my eye. It's almost to the point where like it looks like I have multiple eyeshadows on, but it's really just one eyeshadow applied and blended differently, which is kind of cool. Now I'm gonna do something that's no surprise to anyone. I'm gonna do a little bit of wing liner because, you know, it's my style. I know, I do it all the time and it kind of makes my makeup looks look very similar. I get it, but it's just like, it's my style. I like to do a wing liner, especially on me. So I'm gonna use NARS Mambo eyeliner. This is just like a dark brown eyeliner. And if you haven't tried this eyeliner, I highly suggest you do. It's so freaking pretty. And I'm grabbing a blending brush. This one's from Morphe. I'm going to blend out that pencil before it dries down too much and I can't blend it out. So now I'm gonna try to match up my bad eye with my good eye. Okay, going back to my blending brush. This is giving me like mint chocolate chip ice cream vibes. Like the brown liner is kind of like the chocolate chip. Okay, I'm gonna switch palettes. I'm gonna grab my trusty Makeup by Mario Master Mattes palette and dip into this really dark brown and maybe mix a little bit of this kind of lighter one. I'm just gonna use this to set my brown liner that I just applied. Now we're gonna clean it up. I'm gonna grab just a pointed Q-tip and a little bit of micellar water, do my favorite trick of all time, which is just cleaning up the edge and really like sharpening my wing. Okay, so we're gonna do a little bit of mascara and we're gonna do half a lash, but I'm gonna start with mascara. I'm gonna use the YSL Lash Clash mascara and just do one good coat to start. This mascara can be really, really messy, so I kind of stop breathing when I'm applying it because I don't want to get any on my beautiful green eyeshadow. So I'm going to take a pair of Menu Beauty lashes. This brand sent me a whole bunch of lashes not too long ago, and they're all like very delicate. They're handcrafted synthetic lashes, and they're meant to like feel super lightweight, and they are like extremely lightweight. So I'm going to just carefully take just one single pair off. And the good thing about these, if you're using just like, if you want like half of a lash look, like not the full strip, since these are tapered on each end, if you're just trying to get like that pretty like delicate half lash look, it's ideal for that look because you can just cut it straight down the middle. And then use each one on either end. So it makes it really easy. Grabbing my Ardell lash grip, I'm just gonna run that along the band. Like the band is so thin. It's almost completely invisible. It's so thin. So grabbing my glue and some tweezers. And so I'm cheating with this application. I'm not lining it up perfectly with my actual lash line. I'm just doing that trick where, I'm sure you've seen it by now, where people like apply the lash, like the outer portion of the lash, slightly up above their lash line. And what that does is it gives your eye a little like lift up, like a little cat eye, like lift effect. It feels really weird, like when you're applying your lash and it's not like actually like lining up with your lash line, but it's such a cool effect. Before I finish my eyes completely, I'm gonna move on to my face product, and I'm gonna do something a little bit different that I've been liking a lot lately, and I actually just posted a tutorial on my Instagram about underpainting. What that basically means is you're applying a couple of your products that you would normally put on top of your foundation beforehand. So in this case, I'm gonna do my contour first. And then blend it out before I put my foundation on top. And what this does, honestly, is just give you like, it gives you like bone structure and like depth to your face before you even put your foundation on or your contour on top. So now using one of my favorite drugstore brushes from Profusion, I'm gonna use that to stipple this product in. So one reason why I've been loving this technique is because it's a great foolproof way of applying your cream bronzers or your cream blushes without putting them on top of your foundation and then disrupting that beautiful foundation that you've just like freshly applied and buffed out. It doesn't disrupt anything because it's just going on top of bare skin. So it's like a really easy, like I said, foolproof way of applying and then blending these products out. To further my underpainting, I'm gonna add my cream highlighter. This one's from Westman Atelier, and it is the Super Loaded Tinted Highlight in Powder Rose, something like that. I'm gonna grab the same brush that I just used for my cream contour and dip into that cream highlight. And this has always been kind of one of my favorite ways to highlight, is this method, like putting it underneath foundation. I've always done this. I love this technique, and I love the outcome of it. It looks so beautiful because this will truly give you that lit from within look with your makeup. So I'm pressing it onto my cheeks, basically all over my cheeks. It's gonna look like it's really high up, because it is. I like to have it really high up on the very, very top of my cheekbone. I'm gonna take some more and add it to the top of my nose. And then just a teeny bit across my forehead. So it's gonna look crazy for a little bit. So now we're gonna go in with our foundation, because this has more of a satin finish as opposed to like a super glowy finish. So it's just gonna help to bring some balance to our makeup look so it's not overly glowy. This will just help to make my makeup stay all day. So you kind of want to like pick and choose what glowy products you want to use. You don't want to have everything be a glowy finish, because then you have no balance, and then it just looks like a glowy mess that's like dripping off your face at the end of the day. So it'll still be super glowy, especially with that underpainting that we did with the cream highlighter. So I'm focusing my foundation, the center of my face, around my mouth, onto my chin. I'm not going to do a whole ton of foundation because I don't need it, and I want it to look really nice and natural and a little more like effortless. And I'm using a Morphe. This is a really, really old brush. I'm not sure if they still make this one, but it's the E8 brush. I have a couple of these brushes and I've been using these for years. I love this size brush. I think it gives you such good control. Okay, next we're gonna move on to concealer, and I'm gonna grab that same Tarte Shape Tape in light medium to conceal my under eyes. And like I said, this is such a full coverage concealer that I don't need a ton of it, but yet I always end up using way too much when I'm applying it on myself. I'm gonna just stripe a little bit down my nose, and then a little on my chin, and just a touch on the center of my forehead, just to highlight. And then switching to a Morphe E20 brush, I'm gonna start to pat that concealer in. It's so funny because I stopped using this concealer for years. Like I loved it when it was in its heyday, like in its prime, when everyone was using it and talking about it, and it was super popular. And then I completely stopped using it. I took it out of my kit. I stopped using it like professionally. And then recently I picked it up again and I totally fell back in love with it. If you do like want a great flawless amount of coverage, then you know, this is like, it's like old school, but it works. It just gets the job done. So now I'm gonna let my concealer hang out for a little bit and dry down before I actually set it with powder. And I'm gonna go in with my cream blush. This one is from Freck. I've been using this for a couple months now and I love it. I love this color in particular. It's so beautiful on. It's the color Cuffed, and it's like this gorgeous natural peachy tone. And like with a green eyeshadow, I think peach and green are so pretty, like such a pretty color combo. So I'm gonna apply this with a BK Beauty. This is a 108 brush, and I'm going to just work it into my brush on the top of my hand and then apply it. I'm just pressing it in. I'm not like aggressively buffing it, because now that we do have foundation on, you have to be mindful of like how you're applying liquids on top, especially cream blushes. Because if you're too aggressive, you'll tear through all that makeup that you applied. I'll take whatever's left over and just pat it across the top of my nose, like the bridge of my nose. I love this technique, especially in the summer. It just adds to like that healthy, sun-kissed, you just went to the beach kind of look. So I'm gonna take some more of that product and then buff into my brush first. And I mean like really buff it in. Like I'm like taking all that cream blush and like completely working it into my brush. I'm just tapping it in, and I'm going to bring it high up as I usually do. I love to bring it like towards my temple because it just overall gives my face like a nice little lift up. And then sweep a little bit across my forehead. So now we're gonna set our under eyes, and I'm gonna use that same Kosas powder, the Cloud Set powder in Feathery, and same brush that I used earlier too, that Real Techniques brush, to set my concealer that I used on my eyelid. I'm gonna take a little bit more, just bring it down the side of my mouth and the side of my nose, just to take down that shine a little bit. But also, since this is a lighter colored powder, I'm gonna use this powder to set the areas that I highlighted. So at the top of my chin, take a little bit on the top of my nose, and then in the center of my forehead, right between my brows. Okay, so one more powder. I'm gonna dip into my One Size Beauty loose setting powder. I'm gonna do two things with this powder. I'm going to bake my under eye just a little bit, just for longevity, and so my under eye doesn't crease. And I'm gonna take a large beauty sponge. This one's from e.l.f. They're great quality. Like they're just as good as any beauty blender on the market. So I'm gonna do just a little baking. The side of my nose is the first place it gets really, really oily. Like the side of my nose and like this area right here, which I just don't like shine there. Anywhere else, I'm totally fine being super glowy. I don't mind it. I actually love it. But those two spots, I don't think it's the most flattering. And then press it into this area. And then I'm gonna take a little more and hit right here. Just where we have a little too much shine going on. Going back to my Makeup by Mario palette and a BK Beauty 207 brush, I'm gonna dip into this light medium brown shade. I'm just gonna bring some depth to my bottom lash line. This is just gonna help to bring balance to my bottom lash line, so it's not just all about my top lid. It's gonna bring just some cohesiveness and some balance, just so the look is more complete. And this will of course make your eyes look bigger too. I'm gonna go back to my Westman Atelier cream highlighter, and using a small MAC pencil brush, this is a 219, I'm gonna take a little bit of that cream highlight and use this as our tear duct highlight. I'm gonna go back in with that brush I used earlier to underpaint my cream highlight. I'm just gonna add a touch more. To add a little more depth to my eyes, I'm gonna grab a black eyeliner. This is from Persona. It's just a black longwear pencil. And I'm just gonna tuck this and tightline the very outer corner of my top lash line. So I'm gonna go back to my foundation brush that has a little bit of leftover foundation and do one of my favorite tricks, which is cancel out my lip color. Before I move on to lips, I'm gonna set my cream contour that we have underneath our foundation and just kind of bring it back out a little bit more with one of my favorites. I know I use this all the time, but I love this bronzer. It's so natural and pretty. It's the Huda Beauty Soft Radiance Bronzing Powder in medium. I'm gonna use an angle brush from Zoeva. It's the 127 Luxe Sheer Cheek Brush. This bronzer is just like foolproof. It's so sheer and buildable and soft. Like it just doesn't go on muddy or blotchy. Even if you don't have like, you know, fully set skin, it never skips. It never looks like, you know, like splotchy. Okay, now we are ready to do our lips. I'm gonna use a lip liner that I just got recently. I love this color. This is the color Almond and it's from Persona. And this lip liner is so creamy and easy to glide on. And then before this dries down, I'm gonna blend it out with a really small brush. This one's from Morphe. It's a M149 brush. We're gonna go back to an old school MAC lipstick that I love so much. I've used for so long. This is the shade Kinda Sexy. And if you're familiar with this color, like it's old school. Like I've been using this for so long. It's such a great like cult classic from MAC. It's just such a beautiful peachy nude. So it goes perfectly with this lip liner. So I'm gonna do one more thing on my eyes. I'm gonna finish it off with this Sephora brand eye pencil in the color Coconut. It's basically like a skin tone shade that's gonna be like super brightening and beautiful on the bottom lash line. I've been loving this formula. It stays put so well. And the color is like not so fake. Like some of those skin tone or like light color waterline eyeliners just look really fake to me, especially in person. This one is like just the right color. And it was like $11. It's so cheap. And that's just gonna open up my eyes even more. I never do this kind of color on my waterline. I never take the time to do it. But when I do, I'm always like, I should do this more often because it makes such a huge difference. Before we finish this look, I'm gonna dust off that baking powder that we had on the side of my nose. Just bring it down. Okay, that's the complete look. I'm gonna do my hair and I'll be right back. So here's the finished look, and I decided to call this mint chocolate chip because it reminds me of mint chocolate chip ice cream. I had so much fun playing with colors. If you know me, you know I'm such a neutral girl at heart, but it's so much fun to like break out of your comfort zone, especially for summer, and trying new colors and just fun, bright colors. It's just such an uplifting thing to do. Like put a bright, happy color in your eyes and you're ready to go. If you do recreate this look, don't forget to tag me on Instagram so I can see it. I'm at Makeup by Nikki LaRose. If you guys enjoyed this tutorial or videos like this, I have so many more where this came from. So don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and then check out more videos right over here. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.